dedicated to delivering value and interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, we're diving into the book Deluxe, which explores luxury goods. What's your first reaction? Is it those haughty bags on shelves with five-figure price tags? Or is it groups of old European craftsmen with glasses and tape measures, stitching century-old classics thread by thread? Or celebrities, trendsetters, and rich heirs dazzling on runways and red carpets with eye-catching styles? For many, luxury seems to be all about being super high-end and expensive. But today, Deluxe will give you a fresh perspective on luxury. The author, Dana Thomas, is a seasoned cultural and fashion writer. Over the years, he's covered fashion for The Washington Post, Newsweek, and Times Paris Bureau, and written for outlets like The New Yorker, The New York Times, and Harper's Bazaar. Simply put, Dana Thomas has deep insights and research into the entire fashion industry. His book Deluxe was published. For a decade, it's been hailed as a must-read classic by fashion elites and divas in the industry. It's not about listing celebrity must-haves or shopping guides. On one hand, he traces how luxury evolved, from royal courts to the masses. On the other hand, he goes behind the scenes at fashion shows and factories to share untold stories and dark secrets. That's why this book is called the first expose on the dark underbelly of luxury. Now, let's explore the two stages of luxury development, aristocratization and massification, to uncover its secrets. First up is the birth stage of luxury. Let's rewind to its origins. A defining feature of this era was aristocratization. It's widely accepted that the hub of luxury brand creation and manufacturing dates back to ancient times. 300 years ago, European royalty, especially the extravagant French court, in its heyday, birthed the fashion industry. King Louis XIV adored fine clothes. His daily dressing routine was like a grand court fashion spectacle. As for Louis XV, he was obsessed with perfume. He'd soak pigeons in fragrance and let them fly around the palace so each wing flap spread a rich aroma. By the time of Louis XVI, the king himself got involved, delving into the art of craftsmanship. We might have heard that Louis XVI neglected his duties, obsessed with lockmaking. Actually, he was initially influenced by the great French thinker Rousseau. In our previous Sally's Book Talk episodes, we covered Rousseau's email. Rousseau advocated a naturalistic approach to education, believing everyone should master at least one craft in their lifetime. As a result, Louis XVI ended up ignoring state affairs, becoming obsessed with manual work. You can imagine the outcome. To what extent was France obsessed with handmade craftsmanship back then? Highly skilled artisans were greatly revered by the royal family. In this context, world-renowned luxury brands emerged. Today, we often chat about brands like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and Cartier, which originated in the 18th and 19th centuries, brands established by 19th century artisans who crafted exquisite handmade items for royalty, taking pride in their work and striving for perfection. They would be deeply ashamed if they produced anything shoddy. Among them, the most famous and representative French luxury brand is Louis Vuitton. In 1821, Louis Vuitton was born into a family of farmers and mill workers. At 14, he walked for 2 years to Paris and became an apprentice at a luggage workshop. At that time, the widespread use of steam engines made train travel a favorite hobby among French nobility. People would travel for months at a time, sometimes bringing up to 50 suitcases. But old-fashioned trunks were dome-shaped, with simple lids, easily toppling over on bumpy trains or wrinkling clothes. Louis Vuitton used his skills to design a flat-top trunk, like today's suitcases, rectangular with added features for packing dresses. The typical attire of European nobility was voluminous dresses, with wide skirts, featuring layered petticoats that were extremely hard to organize. And Louis Vuitton's trunks were specifically designed to tack such aristocratic garments. This new invention immediately became a hit in Parisian high society. The top choice for noble travel, Louis Vuitton became the official luggage designer for Empress Eugenie, Napoleon III's wife, tasked with packing her dresses and making her trunks. In 1869, Empress Eugenie traveled to Egypt with 62 Louis Vuitton trunks, prompting European royalty and monarchs worldwide to follow suit, launching the brand to global fame. Though Louis Vuitton is the pride of French luxury, it also has a shameful chapter it prefers not to mention. In 1940, when Nazi Germany invaded Paris, many luxury stores, including Chanel, closed their doors for refuge. The German army attempted 14 times to destroy France's luxury industry, aiming to relocate these brands to Germany and make Berlin the new fashion capital instead of Paris. But the French Couture Association at the time stood firm, declaring, "You can force us to do anything, but Parisian haute couture houses will never relocate. If haute couture isn't in Paris, it ceases to be haute couture." So all French luxury brands were shut down by the Nazis except one, Louis Vuitton. Not only did they operate a factory producing government propaganda, but they also mass-produced busts of Marshal Pétain, the Nazi puppet in France. To reward the Vuitton family's loyalty, the Pétain government even awarded them a medal. After 214, the luxury industry gradually recovered from hardships like material shortages and displaced workers. That the war completely transformed the world. Royalty declined, class hierarchies flattened, and ordinary people's disposable income surged, making it impossible for luxury brands to survive by catering only to the elite. Take French haute couture. It had over 20,000 customers in 1943, plummeted to 2,000 by 1970, and dwindled to just 200 by 1990. Meanwhile, mechanized production advanced rapidly while labor costs soared. Maintaining workshop-style handmade production became nearly unsustainable. Luxury brands could no longer maintain their aloof, aristocratic image. They actively lowered their stance, shifted toward mass appeal, and proclaimed, "To make luxury accessible to all." So luxury brands launched a three-pronged offensive into the mass consumer market. The first move was celebrity endorsements, leveraging popular stars to promote their brands. Today, it seems natural that celebrities and luxury are intertwined, but early luxury brands didn't give stars the time of day. Christian Dior, the founder of Dior, believed that from an aesthetic perspective, living nobility was far superior to clumsy imitations on stage and screen. He wouldn't allow his garments to be vulgarly displayed on the big screen. Previously, the entire Parisian haute couture circle had cold relations with Hollywood. Only Hubert de Givenchy recognized the potential of celebrities as brand ambassadors. He seized the opportunity to collaborate with Audrey Hepburn, designing nearly 80% of her wardrobe for films and personal life. Iconic pieces like the little black dress in Breakfast at Tiffany's and the white with black embroidery evening gown in Sabrina became timeless classics. Givenchy also persuaded Hepburn to star in ads for Elle Interdit perfume, the first time a movie star's face promoted fragrance. Hepburn generously allowed Givenchy to use her name beyond films, helping transform his small couture house into a globally renowned luxury brand with massive commercial success. Subsequently, this celebrity tie strategy was widely replicated. The most successful was Armani's Oscar red carpet dominance, once dubbed the Armani Awards, as nearly all gowns came from them, proving stars' extraordinary selling power. When Madonna wore Gucci to the MTV Awards, Gucci's sales skyrocketed instantly. When Princess Diana was photographed with a Dior bag, 100,000 replicas sold that year alone. That single bag boosted Dior's global revenue by 20%. To secure star placements, brands constantly send unsolicited merchandise bundles, industry slang, swag. The Oscars became the ultimate swag collecting event. Presenters received free luxury watches, cameras, projectors worth hundreds of thousands, prompting IRS fines for undeclared income. Stylists even demanded bribes, like one requesting a brand fund their liposuction. The brand paid instantly. That stylist's celebrity client wore the brand while accepting her Best Actress Oscar. Stars escalated demands, from free clothes to gift cards to direct bank transfers, wearing whichever brand paid most. At the 2005 Golden Globes, two stars swapped Harry Winston jewelry for Shapur drop earrings, last minute, receiving six-figure checks, a long-standing Hollywood open secret. Focusing solely on Hollywood only captured Western consumers. Luxury's next step was global expansion. The second wave was territorial expansion, globalizing to capture consumer markets worldwide. Oh, you might picture Chinese tourists splurging wildly at overseas duty-free shops. But the buyers who truly globalized luxury weren't Chinese, they were Japanese. In the 1960s and 70s, Japan's economic boom birthed a massive new middle class, craving lavish, status display lifestyles. The easiest way? Defining themselves through luxury wear. In one poll, 85% of Japanese identified as middle class. Owning luxury items with logos visible from 10 meters away became essential status symbols. Can you imagine how obsessive Japan was about luxury? In 2006, half the world's luxury goods sold to Japan. 40% of Japanese owned Louis Vuitton. Narrowed to women, that figure soared to 92%. Some never cooked at home to avoid contaminating their luxury items with kitchen smells. Others wrapped Hermes handles in scarves to prevent sweat pollution. Yet Japan's domestic luxury resources were scarce despite this frenzy. Middlemen bought goods in Europe at retail, resold them in Tokyo at 3 to 4 times markup. This mania showed brands' emerging markets potential. Selling globally was the future. In 1978, Louis Vuitton opened 6 stores in Tokyo and Osaka, luxury's first globalization stride. Due to currency rates and regulations, Tokyo prices were 2.5 times higher than Paris. To balance markets, Louis Vuitton adopted floating pricing, halving Japanese prices overnight. These 6 stores sold $5.8 million in year one, stunning the industry. Back then, Louis Vuitton's 2 French stores had only $12 million in revenue, yet within 2 years, their Japanese stores doubled to $11 million. Soon, Japanese consumers weren't satisfied with domestic shopping. The strong yen birthed overseas shopping tours. The hottest destination? Hawaii, conveniently close to Japan. To capitalize, brands like Chanel and Louis Vuitton transformed Hawaii's rustic charm into a luxury hub. Every store added Japanese-speaking staff, with many Hawaii outlets becoming global sales leaders overnight. Louis Vuitton pioneered relocating duty-free shops from airports or ports to city centers. Shopping with boarding passes expanded access dramatically. After conquering Japanese wallets, luxury's globalization became unstoppable, expanding worldwide. When Louis Vuitton opened on Shanghai's Nanjing Road in 1995, bicycles still dominated Chinese streets. Yet executives already saw China as the ultimate future market. Indeed, today, Chinese consumers nearly sustain half the global luxury market. Now, having captured Western markets via Hollywood and global markets via Japan as a springboard, luxury reigns worldwide. Business boomed, yet it remained a fragmented landscape of competing players. The luxury giants aimed to dominate completely, launching their third wave, oligopolistic consolidation through conglomerates. Founders, often artisans, designers, excelled at craft but lacked business acumen, quickly losing control to capital-savvy operators during mergers. Soon, a few mega groups divided the luxury empire. 3 stand out: Switzerland's Richemont, Cartier, Dunhill, Montblanc. France is Kering, Gucci, Saint Laurent, Balenciaga. And the third, today's largest luxury conglomerate, France's LVMH, born from Louis Vuitton's merger with Moet Hennessy, now houses 50 plus icons like Dior, Givenchy, Celine, and Bulgari. This global luxury empire was forged by a powerful CEO named Bernard Arnault, ranked fourth on Forbes' 2019 billionaire list, trailing only Bezos, Gates, and Buffett. He famously said, "Only luxury allows you to earn money luxuriously." During his 30-year reign at LVMH, Arnault made 62 acquisitions, earning the nickname Napoleon of Luxury. He also revolutionized the entire luxury landscape. At Louis Vuitton, Arnault hired then 30s Marc Jacobs to launch women's ready-to-wear. Jacobs's edgy grunge collection, mocked as trash fashion, seemed mismatched with LV's elegance. Yet Jacobs' Paris Fashion Week debut triumphed spectacularly. Though high-end women's wear comprised just 5% of LV's revenue, the author notes its true value was in grabbing attention, exactly what Arnault wanted. She often quoted Dior's founder, "Fashion criticism matters not if it praises or blames, but whether it makes the front page." This ethos culminated when a Dior designer created newspaper-inspired clothing, citing homeless people as inspiration. Naturally, Arnault's moves sparked controversy, alienating some traditional clients. One Dior loyalist described seeing France's First Lady Bernadette Chirac and former First Lady Claude Pompidou at a show. Their expressions looked like they'd been slapped by a cold dead fish. They couldn't believe their beloved traditional fashion had transformed into unwearable creations. But new generations flocked to LVMH stores, doubling and tripling perfume and handbag sales. As one American socialite put it, "Everything's for the masses now. Walk into an airport, buy affordable Dior sunglasses. You've got a touch of luxury." This brand alchemy transformation extended far beyond just Louis Vuitton and Dior. For instance, in 1995, Gucci also ditched its dignified aristocratic image and rebuilt a more modern, sexy style. Many fashion editors and retailers said, "This is amazing, but it's not Gucci." But what did it matter? The public loved it. MEJ's revenue skyrocketed from $264 million in 1994 to $880 million in 1996, more than tripling. By this point, luxury had completely transformed from aristocratization to massification. However, the author argues that during this shift, luxury's core purpose shifted from creating exquisite art to pure profit-making, especially after corporatization. Brands went public for funding. Shareholders couldn't care less about craftsmanship. They only want maximum profits. Next, we'll follow the author into two types of luxury workshops to see how they generate massive profits. One category is perfume, the other is handbags. First, perfume. Since luxury went mass market, the key was solving the expensive problem. Perfume has been absolutely crucial for luxury's conquest of the masses. Average consumers can't afford a $200,000 custom gown, but they can definitely buy a $65 perfume, owning a tiny piece of luxury. Perfume is luxury's easiest product to develop. Nearly every major brand has a fragrance line with solid profits. Why does this affordable luxury yield such high profits? First, most luxury brands don't actually make their perfumes. That'd be too costly. Brands like Armani, CK, Jill Sander, and Marc Jacobs license their names to consumer goods or cosmetics companies, like Procter & Gamble, which specializes in shampoo and laundry detergent, meaning many luxury perfumes are just branded labels slapped on products. But maybe you don't care. After all, that branded perfume still feels like luxury, making you feel unique and special. Like ads claim, one perfume is as sexy as high heels, another promises to immerse you in love's fragrance. But the massification of luxury is a process of losing high-end exclusivity and individuality. In the author's words, all perfume designs are cookie cutter and identical. For example, they design it from the start like this. This perfume should be feminine, making women seem capable yet gentle. It should suit European and American markets, but even more so the Asian market. Oh, it should be trendy yet timeless. Young girls love it, and older women should fall in love at first sight. It should smell like the Armani that sells well in Europe, but also like the Givenchy that's a hit in China. Well, and so on and so forth. Not only is the design mass market, but production is too. Those companies licensed for production are handling 10 to 15 projects simultaneously. And meaning the perfumes you buy from different big brands might actually be produced in the same factory. Moving on, producing perfume requires fresh flowers. For instance, the famous Chanel No. 5's main ingredient is jasmine, and it demands high quality flowers, must come from jasmine fields in Grasse, southern France. If jasmine from elsewhere is used, the scent changes, but using natural flowers is too costly. Only top brands like Chanel and Hermes can afford it. Generally, only 10% of ingredients in today's perfumes are natural. The remaining 90% are synthetic compounds. The author visited a perfume lab. Like magic, 2 test strips dipped in different chemicals, smelling bitter alone, but when layered, produced tea rose scent. Add a bit of another chemical that smells like coconut oil, and you get the fragrance of perfume roses. To perfumers, there's no difference between natural and synthetic substances. They're all structural materials. To cut costs, some big brands directly ask to create jasmine scent without using actual flowers. Technically, that's no problem, but insiders say the created scent is lower quality than the worst real flowers. Cost saving isn't just on the perfume, packaging too. The liquid itself is only 3% of total cost, while packaging can be 10%. Big brands always demand packaging companies to think about how to make packaging at the lowest cost, like shrinking box sizes, trimming bottle edges, using 4-color printing instead of 12-color, even removing the groove liners inside boxes that protect glass bottles. Then, when the perfume is finally packaged and launched, the mall sales assistant helping you test it might introduce it like this. The top notes are fresh, the middle notes are rich, and the base notes linger long, giving you a layered experience. But actually, it's not that mysterious. Alina, a renowned perfumer, has designed perfumes for big brands like Hermes, Cartier, Armani, and more. She told the author that when you smell perfume, you perceive the entire scent at once. There's never any real distinction between top and base notes. So what's the difference between men's and women's perfumes? Actually, there's not much difference. It's all marketing tricks. All right, having covered entry-level perfumes, let's move on to higher-end luxury items that many people can't resist. Bags are the engine of the luxury industry. Unlike perfume, bags are tangible and instantly visible. People are particularly obsessed with bags that have prominent logos. They provide an opportunity to flaunt trademarks and publicly display status. The profit margins for luxury goods are astonishing. Most are 10 to 12 times the cost. Louis Vuitton can reach 13 times. Big name bags love to tell stories of their historical legends and handcrafted traditions. This adds an aura of luxury heritage to the bags, but the author's investigation found that brands continuing pure handcrafting are very few. One of the rare exceptions is Hermes, where each bag is made by one worker from start to finish. The production process is quite slow. A medium-sized Birkin or Kelly bag takes 15 to 16 hours, while larger ones take 25 to 30 hours. The author says that after witnessing the making of a Hermes bag firsthand, they understood what true luxury once was and realized that such luxury is no more, because most brands care more about production efficiency. For example, Louis Vuitton workers use assembly lines to produce batches of 20, and Gucci workers don't even need to study the grain of the leather. Metal stamping machines can cut it beautifully directly. Since 1995, all of Gucci's leather goods have been designed using computers. From 1994 to 1998, leather goods production surged from 640,000 to 2.4 million pieces annually, a 227% increase. Even with assembly lines, lower prices, impossible, pricing embodies brand legacy. No matter how high daily output gets, brands still peddle century-old tales of artisans spending hundreds of hours per bag. But industrializing production isn't even the biggest cost cutter. The deeper secret is hidden origins. Top luxury bags claim French or Italian craftsmanship. Luxury executives insist these techniques can't be replicated elsewhere. But the truth? These bags aren't from Italy or France. They're authentically made in China, mostly in Dongguan, Guangdong. The author infiltrated a factory there, promising not to reveal brand names to see these bags. Every brand forces manufacturers to sign NDAs forbidding disclosure of Chinese production. Manufacturers simultaneously produce for multiple brands. When brand reps visit factories, they're escorted directly to their dedicated workshops. No wandering allowed. It's like maintaining multiple mistresses, constantly preventing them from meeting. After corporatization, conglomerates bundle brands into shared factories, slashing costs dramatically. Result: ironic, consumer wacka, only to discover they're not just from the same conglomerate, but possibly made by the same workers. By 2006, China produced millions of luxury bags yearly. Consumers clueless, brands rarely admitting it. LVMH's Arnaud declared in 2004, only European artisans understand luxury craftsmanship. Yet next year, his brand Celine started manufacturing in China. In 2005, while Prada claimed all products were made in Italy, their leather goods had actually been produced in China for at least half a year. The reason is simple. Producing in China saves 30% to 40% compared to Italy. You might say, can't we just check the origin label before buying? But the bag you see will only have made in France or made in Italy, never made in China. Actually, that label is just a sticker on the outer packaging. Once goods arrive in Italy, the sticker is torn off and replaced with made in Italy. Some brands produce the entire bag in China, then attach a handle in Italy, so it inherits Italian heritage and proudly bears the Made in Italy label. It's not just China. Worldwide, there are sweatshops for luxury goods, all the cut costs. For example, in 2004, Valentino made suits in Egypt where workers earned just 88 cents an hour, while Italian workers got $18.63. Similarly, after these suits are shipped to Italy, the Made in Egypt label is torn off, and in Vietnam and Cambodia, labor costs are 25% to 30% lower than China, with workers earning only $60 a month. A. 1. Behind the glamorous products are outright sweatshops. All right, that covers the main content of the book. Mucha Prada, heir to Prada, said, "Today, faking luxury is easy. Just add some historical details and precious decorations to the brand, and it becomes luxury." So what is true luxury? At the start of the book, renowned fashion designer Marc Jacobs told the author this: "To me, luxury is about making yourself happy, not dressing up for others." That wraps up our interpretation of Deluxe. Check the audio notes below and see you tomorrow